Hi, good evening, everyone. Thanks for attending tonight's board meeting. My name is Brad Gottschall. I'm your Lower Paxton Township Manager, and in typical fashion, I will give a brief summary of tonight's business agenda. Beginning under old business, the board will consider action on a letter of representation with Amerex brokers for the preparation of certain energy supply RFPs. Then, moving into new business, the board will take action on Resolution 19-17, authorizing the acceptance of portions of Seattle Slough Drive within the Stray Winds Development Phase 3B. Next, the board will take action on two separate land development plans. One, a preliminary and final land development for the Meadows Car Wash at 4636 Jonestown Road, and one being a final land development plan for Premier Builders Unlimited at 4096 McIntosh Road. Finally, the board will act on improvement guarantees and the payment of township and authority bills. And with that said, the members are seated and looks like they are prepared to begin business.
Thank you, Mr. Gottschall. I'll call this meeting of the Lower Paxton Township Board of Supervisors to order. And I'd like to ask everyone to please stand, and Mr. Zumas will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We will now move to the approval of minutes of the meeting of March 19th, 2019. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve the minutes of March the 19th, 2019 is prepared and circulated.
So moved by Mr. Chrisman. Is there a second?
I'll second. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's Amanda not here.
Go ahead.
I thought he was a ghost.
Seconded by Mr. Zumas. Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. I would like to also announce before we have public comment that prior to and following this meeting, the Board of Supervisors will be meeting for an informational session to receive information from the township manager. With that, the podium is now open for public comment on any item not on the agenda tonight. Would anybody like to address the board on an item, Mr. Murphy? Not on the agenda. We actually ought to put Mr. Murphy on the agenda and just make him a regular report. It's always interesting to hear what the historical committee is. I hear your last meeting was standing room only.
Yes, it was 118 people in this room.
Wow.
We took all the chairs out of the other meeting rooms just to get them, and they still were standing along the back wall for the two Dr. Gordons. It was amazing. The video is going to go up probably tomorrow of both Dr. Gordons telling their stories. The reason I'm here is you don't have another meeting before our August 1st meeting. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be the history of Coons Pool. And Edie, the swim teacher, is going to come and tell what it was like to teach one of our supervisors how to swim. We had a long conversation on how she taught a supervisor how to swim at the pool.
Mm-hmm. Are you going to hold us in suspense as to which
That's
one?
what we do. That's what we do.
Unfortunately, I won't be here because it's my birthday.
I know.
I also know the instructor.
Yep. Edie
But
Weasley.
we're also going to have Mrs. Thompson, Nancy Thompson. She was the first guard at the pool. She was the first lifeguard. So it should be very interesting. We have some other people there, but it's going to be just like it did with the doctors, a conversation telling about how the pool got its start and how they raised funds. And somebody who everybody remembers, Oscar Lingle, was very, very instrumental in the starting of that pool. So we'll have some details on him too. But I think it's going to be very interesting. We're hoping that a lot of people will show up. I don't know if we'll ever match the 118. But when you see that video and you see how many people were in here, and we couldn't, didn't want to leave. They kept the doctors here. The meeting ended at about, started at 6:30, was over about 7:40. And then for the next 45 minutes, everybody came up to talk to either one or the other of the two doctors. So it was very interesting.
Great.
And that is
Joe,
it.
with the swimming pool, I can't let you go away with mentioning only Oscar's name, but we also need to talk about Levin Forker, Tom George, and I guess because I am so old, at least I knew those three personally, and as I've told you before, I know the personal financial commitment each of those people made to ensure that Linglestown Pool would open its doors.
That's going to be one of our subject matters. I think it was 5 or 6 families actually mortgaged their home to
That is
put the
correct.
$50,000 down to get the pool built. And they also did a door-to-door canvass. 2 or 3 of the young teenagers in town to get a petition signed to bring to the township to allow the pool to be built. So there's really some very interesting stories these people are going to tell. Yeah, we're going to have more than just the people I mentioned there. We started promoting it this week with the hopes of turning a lot of people out. But you're right, Gary, it's unbelievable what they sacrificed.
Yes, they did.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, John.
And we would hope over the next 5 or 6 days, a lot of people will make their way to the pool because it's going to be very warm. And the pool is open to the public, correct?
Yes.
So if you need a place to swim over the next few days, we urge you to go over to Coons Park. Any other public comment on an item not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, Chairman and board member comments. Board members, any comments this evening?
Yes, I represented the board last night at the Council of Government meeting. We had a young woman by the name of Jennifer Ponce de Leon, and she talked about efficiency for townships. So what we can do, Mr. Gutschall, is there are energy service companies out there, and we can get them through the Commonwealth, and we can bring them in free of charge, and they would review all of our utilities and let us know what we could do if there is anything to save. So it is free of charge, for them to come in and audit. Also last night, Cumberland County Commissioner Jim Hertzler was there, and Cumberland County has agreed to go with the ESS XL voting machines. So they were, if any of you attended, they were the large, look like a TV screen, with the scanners with them. So that's what they have. Unfortunately, Dauphin County did not have any representation. So I did get in touch with Jerry Fieser, and at this point, Dauphin County has not decided on what type of voting machines they're going to go with. Also, a couple weeks ago, I was on vacation for 2 weeks, so I haven't been here. I wanted to thank the Lower Paxton Lions Club for adding to the monument out in front of the township building. What the monument is, they have the deceased members of the Lions Club, and they it's all filled up, and they added a new monument to it, to the total of $8,000 it cost them to put it there. So they've started adding more names. And then also that same week, they also donated a recycled bench to the Friendship Center. So what it is, it's 500 pounds of plastic bags or 10,000 bags. And out in the foyer out here, we do have a box where you can start to bring your plastic bags to recycle them. And has there been one put at the Friendship Center, Mr. Gutschall?
Not that I'm aware of, just here at the Municipal Center.
Okay. So again, when they get those, then they'll donate a bench to the township where we can use at any park. So thank you to the Lower Paxton Lions Club for allowing that to happen here in Lower Paxton.
Thank you, Robin. We're going to talk more about energy in just a couple minutes. We had a presentation on that last week.
Yeah.
So any other board member comments? Mr. Chrisman, Mr. Zumas?
All right.
Okay, seeing none, we'll go to the manager's report, Mr. Gottschall.
Mr. Chairman, thank you, members of the board. Just 2 quick items for you this evening. So the sewer and stormwater bills were sent over to the printer actually today for proofing. So this actually constitutes a later billing cycle than is typical of the authority, as you all know. Customers should begin receiving their bills probably in the mail by Friday of this week. And the township, the authority, due to that lateness in getting them out to the printer because of adding the stormwater portion of it, we're going to extend a grace period to the due date, which will be applied extending that due date until August 9th. Look forward to your bills in the mail, and you have that extra time to pay once you receive it. And then also just a friendly reminder, the 6th annual Arts and Parks Red Hot 5K, sponsored by the Highway Equipment and Supply Company, will be held this Saturday, July 20th, rain or shine. The run and walk begins at 8 a.m. at the Friendship Center, and so you can come on out to that, and you can actually still register actually up until the day of the event itself. So we're happy to have you at that event. And that is all.
And will you be participating in the 5K?
I probably will not.
Probably will not. Okay, very good. Thank you. That takes us to old business. And
Question, Mr. Chairman.
yes,
Brad,
do you want to register for the 5K?
if I were here, I would,
Uh-huh.
but I'll be out of town. On the sewer bill, I appreciate the fact that we're providing an extension to August 9th. Is that going out on our social media also that A, that they will be late, and B, that there will be an extension for payment?
Yes.
I mean,
yes,
other than
that-
people who are watching us, they're going to start questioning. You may get phone calls here saying, I haven't gotten my, I don't think people are going to call and say they didn't get their bill. But with the grace period, I think it's important if we can advertise it as much as possible so everybody's aware of it.
Yes,
At least
I-
for this first cycle. After that, I'm sure we'll be back in the cycle. Okay, thank you,
Yep.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Brad, we showed the next meeting August 6th. Didn't we change that because of National Night Out?
That is correct, Mr. Zimich. Yes. The next board meeting then would be the 7th, August 7th.
Thank you.
Good catch.
It is Wednesday. It's just the date that's incorrect on our printed copy.
It says here Tuesday, August 6th, so it's
Yeah, but it's
Wednesday,
going to be
August
Wednesday,
7th, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
On the printed copy has Wednesday, August 6th. It's actually Wednesday, August
The
7th.
7th.
Maybe since we're not going to be here till after National Night Out, we should say something?
Yes, so as is typical fashion, the township will be holding the National Night Out event in George Park, as is typical, and township departments will be there with tents and tables, and that is going to be a fun event. I'm sure I was not at the last year's event, but hopefully this year I'll be able to attend. And so if anybody has any questions or anything, I'd be happy to answer. But other than that, I'm not familiar with the event
Be your first event, your
details.
first National Night Out with us. Yeah.
Correct.
It's a phenomenal event. The police department and Parks and Rec and everybody here do a great job at pulling it together. The community, a great community participation, a lot of fun. People bring their kids and what?
Thinking, remember last year it rained.
Oh yeah.
An hour before.
Standing in puddles of water.
Yeah, we had a lot of rain last year. Hopefully it doesn't rain this year. Yeah, I remember the hayride thing and the cart got stuck and all that sort of. I guess that was later in the year, but
Yeah, that was October.
yeah. Hopefully we'll have nice, dry, but not too hot weather for National Night Out
And if I may add, it's from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m.
in George Park.
George Park.
Mr. Gutschall, since you're a family man, it is a family activity.
Thank you. I'll drag the family out.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, under old business, we had a presentation at our workshop last week relative to having Amorex Brokers LLC represent us in doing the energy audit, of which Robin spoke, and negotiating to see if we can lower our energy bills. Their services come at no upfront cost to us, or no cost to us. They make their money off of the people who we purchase the energy from. So I don't know if there are any questions. Robin, I don't know if you had an opportunity to look at the documents, if you have any questions about it.
Yeah. And yes, it is free of charge to do the audit. They said that last night.
Well, since it's free of charge, we have nothing to lose, right?
Yeah.
And everything to gain. After our discussions, it looks like we could have some savings, and there might even be some opportunities for some grant money to replace streetlights and such down the road. So that would be a plus for us.
Absolutely.
So any other questions from the board? Any public question or comment on it? Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move we authorize the township manager to sign the letter of representation and prepare the necessary energy RFPs with Amorex Brokers LLC as presented and recommended by Mr. Gutschall.
It is so moved. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Very good. That now takes us to new business. We have, first of all, a resolution. We need action on Resolution 2019-17. This would authorize the acceptance of portions of Seattle Slough Drive in the Stray Winds Farm Development Phase 3B. And I do not see Mrs. Zerby, so Mr. Gottschall, fairly routine?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it is routine. Actually, all inspections for the acceptance have been completed and approved by the engineer and staff. All documents have been reviewed and approved internally, and at this point, staff recommends acceptance of the portion of Seattle Slough Drive as shown in Resolution 19-17.
Okay, is there a motion?
Absolutely. This is easy, Mr. Chairman. I'll move we approve Resolution 2019-17, which authorizes the acceptance of portions of Seattle Slough Drive of Stray Winds Farm Development Phase 3B as prepared, circulated, and recommended by the township staff.
So moved by Mr. Chrisman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Zumas. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We now will have action on a preliminary and final land development plan for the Meadows Car Wash. This at 4636 Jonestown Road, Plan 19-08. And I see we have on the screen a diagram of the proposed development. Is there somebody here to speak to that?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, if I may act in Ms. Zerby's place. With us this evening, we have Mark Kurowski from K&W Engineers. He is here on behalf of the applicant. The plan was recommended for approval at the May 1st, 2019 Planning Commission meeting. At this point, there are no comments to the plan. It is a squeaky clean, forgive the pun, submission.
Squeaky.
Yeah, I do what I can.
That was good, Brad. That was good, Brad. Yeah.
I wasn't thinking that all day long or anything. But
We'll see, Mr. Chairman.
so at this point, the plan is before the board for consideration.
Okay. Do we have any questions, Mr. Chrisman?
Yes, I do. Sir, first of all, would you identify yourself, please?
Sure. Mark Kurowski with K&W. We're the firm that prepared the plans before you this evening.
My second question then is, are you authorized to speak on behalf of the applicant?
Yes, sir.
Good. Do you have in front of you the same documents that we do with regard to the plan summary?
Yes, sir, we do.
Then I have a series of questions I would like to ask you so that you can respond and it will be memorialized.
Certainly.
All right, there are 3 waiver requests. I have no questions about those because our staff does in fact support those waivers. There are 3 administrative comments. I'm going to ask you specifically, have all 3 of those either been met or will be met in a timely fashion acceptable to the township staff?
Yes, those will be met in that time frame.
There are 6 general comments. I'm going to ask you the same question about the first 5, and then I have a specific question about number 6. Questions 1 through 5, I have the same question. Have all of those 5 been completed, or will they be completed in a satisfactory manner acceptable to the township staff?
Yes, those will be completed.
And then specifically number 6, if you would address that one. It is the letter from Jason Hines, who represents HRG on behalf of the township. On a memo he dated July the 2nd, 2019, there are 20 comments on that document. Again, same question. Have all 20 of those items either been completed or will be completed in a satisfactory manner to the township staff?
Yes, those will be addressed.
With that, Mr. Chairman, I will yield to Mr. Gutschall's squeaky clean approach to this presentation. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I will move.
I have a question. I have a question also.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
if I may.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, we had a document from our operations supervisor from the sewer department, Mark.
Yes.
And he was concerned, is the wastewater going to be going into the sewer system?
So if I may, Ed Henry, who is here representing the actually manufacturer for the car wash, could probably help me speak to that particular issue. Ed, if you might want to come up.
Please come to the podium and give us your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Ed Henry. I reside at 120 Lavender Hill Lane in Landenberg, Pennsylvania. I am the owner-operator of, we have a Go Green and Clean car wash in Kennett Square, Pennsylvania. So specific to that question, yes, the water does go to the sewer system. It was definitely one of the big questions when we built the one in Kennett. As it relates to the amount of water that went in, all of that was calculated. We actually recycle a large portion of the water on site and reuse it at various stages throughout the wash. And then as far as the actual water that goes down, I would always tell them that compared to other commercial uses, we probably have the cleanest dirty water going into the sewer system.
Okay.
Most of that is, we have a reclamation system. So there are 3 large tanks that will sit underneath of the parking lot. It pulls the sediment out down to a 30 micron, which is about the size of pollen. We separate all of the oil and grease out.
Okay, so
and-
there is a separator. Okay, because
Absolutely.
he recommended that there has to be a grease oil separator, so there is. Okay, I
Absolutely.
just
And
wanted to
then-
make sure, because he had commented on that, so, okay, thank you.
Certainly.
Appreciate it. That's all. No,
Okay.
I'm okay.
Are you ready?
I just had that question.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Mr. Zimis,
Yeah, just to satisfy my curiosity and all the people that are sitting at home eating popcorn that are anxious to know, can you describe the operation in general? Is this an automatic? Is it pull through? Is it drive through? Is it just the entire operation and how it works? And
I'll defer to the expert on that one.
Certainly. We refer to it as what's called an express exterior wash. So you as the customer will stay in your vehicle. The wash takes about 3.5 minutes for the entire cycle from the moment you enter the tunnel until you exit. Unlike other, to where I know there's a number around here, what I refer to as self-serve or rollover, to where you pull up and you stop and put in park and then it kind of goes around your vehicle. We can wash several vehicles at the same time, so it's a much faster process.
does it clean the undercarriage?
Depending on which wash package you select, yes, there is an undercarriage wash.
And how many bays altogether? I forget.
It's a single tunnel.
A single, okay.
Yeah, it's a single 120-foot tunnel.
And how does the customer pay?
There are pay stations, so as you would pull up, it's almost like a drive-up window. You would just basically select which wash you like. You can put in cash or credit card, and then once the gate lifts, it's that simple.
And what's the material that the brushes are made out of?
There are 2 different types of, I don't call them brushes because they're really not brushes, that come into contact with your vehicle. The one that most people recognize is what I call the wraps that spin. It's like a neoprene type material, so it's not porous, it doesn't hold water or dirt or debris, and they get rinsed between each one. And then there's another piece that's called a mitter. They're the hanging cloth that come down and wrap and go across your vehicle, and it's a soft cotton type cloth material.
Does it do the wheels?
Yes. Again, depending on the package, you can get your tires shine or your wheels shined and tires scrubbed.
Great, thank you.
What is the cost if you do the whole thing?
In Kennett, we have 4 different washes. They start at $8, and then they go to $12, $16, and $20 is the top wash.
And is it 24/7?
No.
Okay.
The operational hours are seasonal. In the summer, we are 7:30 a.m. until 8 p.m. And then in the winter, it's 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. A lot of that is because people don't typically wash their car when it gets dark out.
Oh, that's good, okay. Okay, great.
Robin, if you could move your microphone, apparently it's not picking you up very well.
Yeah,
Oh,
could-
I'm
there-
right in
your
front of it.
microphone's here and you're talking over there and I can't
Okay,
hear.
I'll just have to
Thanks.
keep switching it, okay.
Well, I actually have a serious concern. No more ice cream?
After you get your car washed, you can go, they'll start selling.
You can speak to that? Is there going to be is there still going to be ice cream sold on the I mean, we have priority. I mean, a clean car is one thing, but an ice cream cone is something else.
Number
That's,
one, it's not ice cream, it's frozen custard.
okay, my apologies for
Okay, it's okay.
your name and address,
Yes.
sir.
My name is Todd Gelball, 13 Care Street, Harrisburg. I'm the owner of the Meadows
Okay.
and with my son, Terrence. So yes, we plan on to continue serving custard. We're going to move the machines up to where the arcade is.
Oh, okay.
And there will be no seating, but it will be walk-up. And will be seasonal because it won't be open as long. It won't be open 10 months like we usually are. Maybe 6. But that's the plan.
Okay.
No more drive-through, but you can still come up.
Yeah, when I saw this, I had immediate concern over the lack of ice cream availability. One and two.
Ice cream.
Pardon me, custard availability. Well, in any event, it's really good. So,
But you have your priorities established.
well, yeah, if I can have custard rather than the car wash, but to have both, that's great. Okay,
We can
good.
probably serve it before you get in the car wash.
Might be better to wait till after, especially with kids. Okay, good, thank you.
One other question. When do you anticipate the car wash being open?
Pending approvals, permitting, and everything like that, we would hope, and of course, weather, we would hope to be washing cars April, May.
Not till next year. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Any other board questions? Any public questions or comments? Now that we've established we can still get dessert there. Okay, Mr. Chrisman, now you can.
Mr.
Well, you know, we have to keep things in order here.
I understand. There are priorities. Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve the preliminary and final land development plan for Meadow Car Wash at 4636 Jonestown Road, Plan 2019-08, with 3 waiver requests to be approved, 3 administrative comments, 6 general comments, specifically number 6, which is the memo dated July the 2nd from Jason Hines, HRG, with 20 comments. And that's it.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
There we go. Thank you all very much for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Item number 3 on the printed agenda has been pulled from the agenda, so that will take us to item number 4 on the printed agenda. This would be action on a final land development plan for Premier Builders Unlimited, Inc. at 4096 McIntosh Road, Plan 18-13. And who do we have at the podium?
Oh, good evening. My name is John Melham from Melham Associates. This plan was done by Tony Trost of Third Mountain Surveying. Last year, Tony merged into our company. That's why I'm representing him tonight. He's at a different meeting.
Very good. Mr. Godshall, what do we have before us?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the final subdivision plan for Premier Builders Unlimited proposes to subdivide the existing parcel, which has a total area of 43,438 square feet, and create 2 separate building lots. Lot 1 will have a total area of 20,417 square feet, and Lot 2 will have a total area of 20,346 square feet. The site is located in the residential low-density zoning district and will be served by public sewer and water supply. This plan went before the Planning Commission at the August 1st, 2018 meeting and was recommended for approval. We have completed the review of the above reference plan, and we offer the following comments, of which there are 2 waiver requests, 2 requested deferrals, 5 administrative comments, and 2 general comments.
Thank you. Any board questions?
I was waiting this time to see if anyone had any before I
Do either of you have any
Before I
questions before
repeat my
Mr.
litany.
Chrisman goes through his checklist
Litany.
here?
Okay.
Not here.
Okay.
On the requested waivers, under 2, it says, "We do not support the waiver request. The plan shows proposed improvements in ENS controls." It's to Amanda from HRG.
Are you speaking from Jason's comments? Because the two waivers are both supported by staff.
Yeah, this one, it's deferral of the stormwater management requirements.
Yes.
Applicant requests that the stormwater management plan.
Yeah, Mrs.
Okay.
Lindsay, so that is a deferral request. We do support that simply because they're merely doing a subdivision of the lots, and they aren't building anything at this point. So once the applicants at that point submit some type of a building request, then the appropriate stormwater plans may be required. But at this point,
Okay, so
there
you
is no-
support it even though HRG does not?
I'm not.
Okay, see right here?
Yeah, I'm confused. What are you reading from?
You're talking about that July 24th memo?
Are you talking about,
It's from HRG to Amanda Zerbe.
that's why I asked, was it I was looking at the regular, I
Okay.
wasn't looking at the memo. Are you looking at HRG's comments?
I'm looking at this is a memo from HRG.
Right, it's under
Right.
number, it's under general comments, which is item 2, which refers to the July 24th memo with 21 comments from Jason Hines. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, and I'm actually looking at the memo.
That's,
Okay,
I just needed to know where you were going.
yeah.
And which item are you addressing?
So it
under
says
that?
requested waivers under the memo from HRG.
Yeah, but which ones?
2. Says we do not support the waiver request. The plan shows proposed improvements and
Okay, I've caught up with you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd have to clarify that. I do know after speaking to Amanda this morning that staff does support this request for deferral. So I'd have to clarify why there's a discrepancy between HRG's comments and our own. But
Because usually we go with the engineer. So that's why that was my question.
yeah, I'll seek clarification on that. But again, there's really no requirement for there to be a stormwater ENS control plan at this point because they aren't building anything. So I'll get clarification on that.
Mr. Gonzalez, if I may,
Please.
I believe, and I'm not tremendously familiar with this plan, but I believe you were referring to HRG's comment letter, July 24th last year. I believe, I would think that would be superseded by the one which is May 29 of this year.
Okay.
And,
So the
I'm
chronology
sorry,
is
pardon I made a mistake there, July 15th of this year.
Oh, that's
July 15th.
Okay.
pretty recent.
And they,
It was just included in the packet, so that's why I was asking.
The letter addressed to us is July the 12th.
No, mine says July 24th, 2018.
To the Board of Supervisors from Amanda Zerbe is dated July the 12th,
That's the latest.
that is the latest, which is the one that I have to reference in the motion that has to be written.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Gary. I thought you were
That's okay.
talking about the one from
But
last.
the point is that the HRG comment not recommending it is over a year old,
Right.
whereas the most recent one of only a few days ago coming from staff, the word supersede, I think, does apply here.
I think so.
A lot can happen in a year.
Okay.
thank you.
Now may I go back and we'll go through
Okay.
the...
I'm sorry, but I
No,
was
that's
just
okay.
asking because of that, because they
Do you
did.
remember where you left off?
Well, I think I started with, first of all, sir, are you able to speak on behalf of the applicant? Okay, thank you. And I'm assuming based on our earlier conversation, you have the same documents in front of you that we do. So I need to ask you a series of questions. You've already heard them, so I'm sure you're prepared to respond accordingly. There are 2 waiver requests. We don't need to address those. We've already addressed those, only because staff does support those waivers. There are 2 request deferrals, 1 and 2. And again, my question to you specifically is, have these been completed, or will they be completed in a timely fashion acceptable to the township staff? Under the administrative comments, there are 5. Same question. Have all of those either been completed or will be completed in a timely fashion that is acceptable to the township staff? And 2 general comments, I'll take those separately. Number 1, same question, and that is that that work, the plan approval, has been completed and/or will be completed in a timely fashion acceptable to township staff. And specifically, number 2, and this is the one that we were addressing, or Ms. Lindsay was addressing, same question with the memo dated July 24th, and I recognize it 2018, even with the comments of Jason Hines, with the 21 comments, that they have either been completed or will be completed in a satisfactory manner and in a timely fashion acceptable to township staff. Okay, and I modified that, my wording there, because of the 2018 and Mr. Gutshaw's clarification with item number 2. So if you're expressing that, yes, they have been completed or will be completed, I'll accept that. It is the one that we were discussing with regard to the stormwater management requirements where staff did not support it, but that was in 2018. Mr. Gutschall said that has been overridden and staff is now supporting.
Well, it wasn't that staff didn't support it, it was HRG did not support it.
I'm sorry, HRG.
Okay, I just wanted to
yes.
clarify that. Okay.
It was not staff, it was HRG.
Okay.
But again, according to Mr. Gutschall, that has been clarified both by staff and from your perspective as well. Is that correct? Therefore, then I'll restate the question again, that this particular dated July 24th, 2018, the elements contained therein have either been completed or will be completed in a timely fashion acceptable to staff, with the correction and or an agreement reached between the township manager and staff and your organization. Okay. With those responses and written and memorialized for eternity, Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve the final land development plan for Premier Builders Unlimited at 4096 McIntosh Road, which is Plan 2018-13, with 2 waiver requests listed, the 2 requested deferrals, the 5 administrative comments, the 2 general comments, and specifically number 2 with the comments, the 21 comments on the memo of July 24th from Jason Hines of HRG.
That is a motion. Can Shelley read the motion back? I'm kidding you, Shelley. We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Zumas. Any additional board questions or comments?
Just ask that, Brad, you do clarify that issue between the 2 dated letters.
Yeah, I'll provide some clarification on why there was a discrepancy there.
Right.
Sure. Yep.
And if there is a conflict, then we will need to address it again with the applicant.
Sure.
Any public questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying, oh, pardon me. Please give us your name and address. Pull the microphone down a little
Microphone on.
closer to you, sir.
It's not
I don't think it's on either, because I'm having difficulty hearing.
Yeah, I was having difficulty with the other gentleman as well. Somebody must have hit the off button.
Sorry, I'll start over. Mike Valenti, owner, Premier Builders.
Thank you.
And I wasn't preparing any questions, but tonight I heard you talking about a stormwater sewer tax earlier in the meeting. So now these
Fee.
It's a fee, not a tax.
Okay.
We have
You
to
have to pay it.
clarify that.
Is it
It's a fee.
a monthly fee or
It's a
Quarterly.
quarterly fee.
quarterly fee? Okay, since I'm going to be required to put my own stormwater management on these lots, will they be exempt from that, the eventual residents of these lots?
Not for residential, no. The board made the decision, since it's a very complicated startup, that we would not get into any credits or mitigation fees, et cetera, at least initially till we got it up and running. We may consider a credit program for large commercial developments that do stormwater management on site, but the cost of administering a residential program vastly outweighs any benefit to it. So as of right now, the answer is no, there are no credits.
Okay, I was curious.
And we're just getting started with it. So the goal was to get it up and running, get a year or 2 under our belts, and then we can take a look at where things stand and how we want to sort of massage it from there.
Thank you.
Sure.
Just to ease your mind, it's $32 a quarter is what it is, so it's $128 for the year.
Okay. Do you have any other questions, sir?
No, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, we have a motion on the floor.
That we do. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? No. There we go. Plan's approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a
Thank
nice
you.
evening.
Thank you.
Okay, that takes us to improvement guarantees, development agreements, plan affirmations, et cetera, of which we have 6.
Mr. Gutschall, are there anything, I did not see anything unusual about any of them.
No, nothing unusual. Nope.
Okay.
Okay, seeing nothing unusual, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve the 6 improvement guarantees, both new, reduction, and extensions as listed.
So moved, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded, all in favor saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? That takes us to bills of Lower Paxton Township and the Lower Paxton Township Authority. Madam Treasurer.
Yes, I make a motion that we pay the bills of Lower Paxton Township and Lower Paxton Township Authority.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Announcements. Any additional announcements from the board or township manager? Okay, once again, our next meeting, we have a 5 Tuesday month in July, so it'll be a couple of weeks before we get back together. And just to reiterate what was stated earlier, National Night Out will be in George Park on Tuesday, August 6th. So we've moved our meeting to Wednesday, August 7th at 7 p.m. here. That will be the next public meeting of this board. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved,
So
Mr.
moved.
Chairman.
Moved and
Second.
seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
That was good.